Well, good evening, and hello, and welcome to Leading Ladies, Leading Legacies. I am Joy Ruffin. My work is as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. It's all connected, it's all aligned. And every week I bring to you a featured guest speaker. And tonight is no exception because this lady, I'm going to give you her name and a little bit of her background. But before I bring her up, I want you to just sit back and relax and get comfortable because everything that we're going to talk about tonight, which is the power of wholeness, it's going to evolve and revolve around spirituality, which is my domain, and I bet it's yours as well. This is Dr. Verlaine Crawford. Now, she's given me the permission to use her first name, Verlaine, and that's what I'll be calling her going forward. But she's an intuitive transformational coach. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, and the author of 5 award-winning books. And my friends, I could go on and on and on, but we have a lot to cover tonight. So you just sit back and grab whatever makes you comfortable and help me welcome our featured guest speaker tonight, Verlaine Crawford. Hello and welcome.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm happy to have you here because your work absolutely excites me because you're in my camp, in my circle, and your book, The Power of Wholeness, we're going to cover a lot about it. And there's so much in your background that's fascinating. Give us a little bit of a highlight of your background and what you've done thus far.
Well, it's been an exciting time. I have had numerous opportunities to work with companies and do marketing, advertising, and public relations. And throughout it all, I was always looking for how to make it faster, right? Go forward a lot faster. And so that's a lot about where the power of wholeness came from, is this idea. So I was in high tech. I was able to be part of 2 startup companies in Silicon Valley. I was the first woman executive to do that. And then I've done, everything. Real estate. I was the director of sales for the lodge at Pebble Beach, which is a gorgeous resort with a 17-mile drive and all on Pebble Beach. And I worked on the Queen Mary project and at Capitol Records. So this went on and on.
You know, Verlaine, I'm happy. I wanted you to share that rather than me because the title of your book, The Power of Wholeness, well, you've done a little bit of everything and you've done it so extremely well, excelled in it. So I can get why this book came to you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because everything that we're going to talk about tonight is going to evolve around the spirituality of us. So let's start off with, you are the co-creator of your own reality. How did you, and share with us a little bit about that?
Well, it started when I was 22, and I met a man who told me, make a list of the things you wanted and the date by which they would happen. Everything came true on the list. I was modeling. I found a place to live in that I could afford at the beach, and I got the job at Capitol Records. Everything was so fantastic that I told everyone, make a list, make a list. So here at 22, I'm thinking, this is it. Our thoughts create our reality. But as I started talking about it, to other people, sometimes their list didn't work completely. Their goals and everything didn't come fully apparent, or it took a very long time. And so that's where I started to research and made it my goal to find out what stops us.
Now that's fascinating. And I love the way that you explain that because what I was about to ask you, and you qualified it, but I want more information. You made a list, and that list, most everything, or maybe everything, came true for you. So let's go to the missing key to realizing the blocks maybe in the transformational that doesn't happen for people. Why? Let's talk a wee bit about that because I'm sure it sounds good and we all like that. Make a list. But what was exceptional about you making the list and other people making the list and it doesn't come true?
Well, the first thing I would say is it's beginner's luck, right? You go to Vegas, you win. I didn't have any blocks on the things. I put things I thought were ridiculous on the list. And so but it all was like a treasure hunt. You have to follow the leads that come and the intuitive leads that come. Sometimes the person that said, I had on there to go on TV. And this guy called me up and said, how would you like to be on TV? I hadn't been on TV, but it was a dating game. And he says, oh, and you don't get paid, but you get to go to Magic Castle for dinner. And I'd always wanted to go there. And that's the other thing about the creating of the list and allowing it to come from your heart is that God knows the desires of your heart. And so it flows. I went to Capitol Records for a completely different reason. I went because I thought I was following a lead about being in a play. And they said, "Why do you want to be an actress?" And without even thinking, I said, "Well, I really don't want to be an actress. I want to be a writer." And they said, "Oh," and came back with the head of Capitol Records magazine and said, "How would you like to be editor on the magazine?" So it's fascinating. So the reason that I found out that we don't always get what we want,
Yes, yes.
that there's a part of us stopping us. It isn't God stopping us. God doesn't want to stop us. It isn't. It's the angels are there to help us. In fact, in my own experience, I'm talking to my guide, and he says, we stand there next to you, waiting for you to ask
Yes.
something, right? We twiddle our
Yes.
thumbs, and we wait, and we wait, and then finally you ask for something, and he says, we get busy. We set up that you're going to see this sign at the ice cream shop. We get people calling you. We get all this stuff set up, and then you say, "But that can't happen." Huh? They have to say, "Stop everything." We have free will, and the free will can create and it also can stop. Okay. So we have all these different parts of us that have been created over the years from the time we're little kids. We hear what people are saying to us. Every sentence can become a belief. Okay. One was example is my mom used to say, "Don't go out in the rain, you'll catch colds." So here I am one day when I was in my 20s and I went outside. It was raining. By the time I got to the car, I had a sore throat. And I said, "This is ridiculous. What are we talking about? I can't get a sore throat that fast." And then I remember what she said. And I said, "Okay, what if I can respect my mother and I can, realize that I shouldn't be out in the rain that much
Yes.
and I don't have to get sick?"
Yes, 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 yes. Listen, I received all of that. And let me back you up just a wee bit because you gave some priceless information there. You mentioned like it was like a treasure hunt for you and also like beginner's luck. I received that. You also mentioned that connecting the heart and soul. You didn't say soul, but I'm saying heart and soul connecting, which I use all the time. But you also mentioned something that's very key here, that we all have the guidance and we all have the guides around and with us at all times. How young and what age were you when you absolutely embraced and accepted that as a fact for you?
I would definitely say at 22, when I got that information and I saw how
Ah,
that was working. But I really feel I had guidance as a child, and I felt like I had my invisible friends. And my mom used to tease me and say, "You can see leaves on trees when the trees are bare," which I guess was the fact that I could see things that, was not what other people saw. So I didn't know that, but she said things that kind of gave me that lead. And so that's the intuitive part of me or the psychic part of me that I can easily help people so much more than I might if I didn't have that additional talent, let's say.
I I love that. And here's what I think, and tell me if I think we all have it. Some of us are more keenly aware of it and we are
Yes.
in sync with it, or we're seeking it and we know that it's there, and others have no clue. Now, let's talk about the missing key to release the blocks. If there is that type of onset of not knowing and not being aware that you do have guides and guidance and angels, whatever verbiage you choose to use around you, how do we get to unleashing the blocks if they're there? I know it's different, Verlaine, for each and every one. It's contingent upon a lot of different variables. But what are some of the keys to help one release blocks if they're there?
Well, what I had the good fortune to do with the help of the guides was come up with an integration technique. And I call
Yes.
it infusion integration. And why it's called infusion is I looked it up in the dictionary and it says when spirit enters form. And I
Yes.
love that because it's clearing and shifting the energy. We've seen a lot of the different books that people have presented and workshops. They talk about raising your vibrational frequency. They talk
Yes.
about the secret and that you're going to get anything you want through many different things, the power of intention, the power of now, et cetera, et cetera. The situation is this: we hold on to these beliefs, and there's parts of us, I think I call them our subpersonalities, and I call them the keepers of our beliefs. They keep our beliefs for us, and they believe in them, and they go off in a little corner, and their job is to prove it. So let's say, like another thing my mom said, all the good men are married or buried.
I never heard that one.
And mom was full of good stuff for me,
That's a good one. I got to remember that one.
So if you went into a party, let's say, and you're a single lady, guess what? With that belief there, you will not see any single men that are great. This is the thing. It stops your opportunity. And so the way I look at it is, we like to think of ourselves as captain of our ship, master of our fate, right? But I see it as a pirate ship, and the crew is planning mutiny. And so you've got parts of you that are saying, let's go this way. I want to go to that island. Let's take that ship. And another guy says, I just want to go home. So those are all the voices in your head that are driving you crazy. They do this, do that. No, do this. And so what I developed is this integration that if anything is missing, we have 4 cornerstones of life: health, wealth, love, and self-expression. So they're like 4 cornerstones. If anyone is missing, like if your wealth is missing, it starts to tilt a little bit. Your love is missing, it tilts some more. And so you can see that if anything is missing in your life, why? Because you have a belief that it's not the best thing for you. It's not the best thing to have a long-term loving relationship. Why not? Parts of you are saying, I want to be free. I want to do what I want when I want to do it. I don't want to be tied down, blah, 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 blah. So he's got all this stuff. And the other one's going, but I want to be loved. I want to have someone with me. So you have this very strong opposition between each other. And it depends on the strength of that belief who wins. But unfortunately, they're always fighting. And so the idea is you ask, what are the advantages of each? And it's so powerful, this integration. I mean, if we had time, I don't know, or another time, I could take you through it.
Yes.
What we do is just we bring them together. We send them to the creative part of ourselves. And then your higher self helps to heal these 2 parts. And they then start working together. And that gives you the power of wholeness.
Well, this I accept, and this I know as factual for sure, but I also know it's a process for a lot of people for all the different reasons. And I really embrace the voices and the belief and listening to and tuning into your guides and that inner voice. I mean, it has so many different terminology, names of Verlaine, but it's all about going inside and listening to that guide and the guides that are always there with us. But it takes most of us some time to get to that. You were able to get to it at a young age, and so was I, but for different reasons. Tell me, let's talk a little bit about, we're popping because we have so much to cover here, and I just love the work that you're doing in this book that you wrote. But tell us a little bit, because it aligns with what you just said about the mirroring effect. How does that play in?
It also plays in because you've got a part of you that has a belief about you, probably, right? And the people outside of you show up to show you that part. And that, which is really scary, but they say the things you didn't want to hear that are inside of you.
Yes.
My mom says, I was living with her for a short time and as an adult, and she said, you're always on the phone. You are, don't pay attention to your family. You're doing all these things. Now, our normal way is to fight back. Oh, well, that's not true. Da, da, da. But then because of this, I thought about it. And I realized everything she said was true. That's what happens. You have to realize, listen closely to what people are saying to you. And, be very grateful when they're saying, you look great today, because that means you feel you look great today also. Okay. So what I had to do is I did the integration by myself, not with my mom, but I put my mom on one side and me on the other. And then I was able to integrate. And I guess what happened? She completely changed. Now, later, I asked her about it and she said, no, you changed. But she now, after that, she was calling me my angel. And I'm looking like my mother was replaced.
I, Verlaine, I love this for a lot of different reasons. I'm going to take a quick reset, but listen to me closely, because when I come back, I want to talk a wee bit more and connect with what you said about the mirror effect. And I want to take it in a different direction. I want your viewpoint on it and other things that we'll talk about. So hold tight, and I'll be back with you. Kirill is going to put you in the green room, and I'll be back in just a second. This is a good place to end. My friends, let me just share with you this. Every lady that I bring to you comes with such priceless nuggets to share with you, absolute jewels, gems. So make sure that you make the connection. I'm coming to you now every Monday. We're calling it Joyful Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's all kinds of current topics. We talk about everything. And one of the ones that I did just recently was the difference between faith and beliefs and so on and so forth. And what we're talking about today as it applies to spirituality, which is what most everything today is really immersed and involved with. So join me every Monday at 3 p.m. In conjunction with that, I want you to know that what we're talking about here tonight is all about you, me, all of us getting to know who we are at our core. And once you do that, these guides and the angels and whatever verbiage you choose to use, they come forward to speak and to be with you. And we are never, ever alone. This is a freebie. It's my gift to you. It's absolutely top of the line, upscale, top of the top. You will not regret making an investment. This is a freebie, but it'll give you a lot of insight about what's possible and what's involved for you. So make sure you go there. Now, she's going to show you the book, The Power of Wholeness, the graphic that we did for that. We're going to talk a little bit more about this towards the end, and Verlaine is going to share with you something that's going to be very meaningful and impactful for you. So take a screenshot or a snapshot of this, and then we're going to tell you a little bit more about that. But I want to get back now to Verlaine, because I want to talk about this mirror effect, because I loved your explanation and what you explained and how you explained what happened there. But I want to ask you this. I don't believe that we meet any strangers in life, and I don't believe that there are any accidents in life. I think that everybody comes to you, the good, the bad, and the so-so, and what you might call not so good. They come for a reason. Do you believe that, or does that apply in a tie-in with your mirror effect?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because if part of our belief system is fear, and we have fears deep within us. And so the accidents, the dramas that I have created,
Yes.
such as being stabbed in a parking garage, why? That was one of my questions, after knowing this information. How could I have that happen? And it's just to
Right.
look back at the past and see the belief that was there and the feeling that was there that allowed me to be in that space. Plus, it had become a pattern of having the person you love come back in your life because you're hurt. Or in this case, because I was hurt. And so in each case of my own background, I saw that, and I finally could break it and also break the terrible post-traumatic stress syndrome that I was in, because I could see and bring those parts together, the one that was so afraid and the one that said, we can be safe, coming together. So,
Ooh, I
yes,
love that. Love that. Verlaine, let me ask you this, because I tend to, but I'm not going to qualify. What I know for sure, and I like your feedback on it, is that oftentimes when people come to us, even when we say, and this is what I learned the hard way, I don't care for that person. I don't like that person. That person would have, whatever you're seeing and feeling in that person, it might be totally exaggerated, but that's a quality or a trait within yourself. Because when you're on this universe, this galaxy, this planet, it's all about love. So where
yes.
is the love? How do you respond to something like that? Because it took me a long time to get to that, to say, why don't I like that person? What is that person? Is something within that person that's, how can you speak to that?
It is that part of you showing up outside. And like you said,
Exaggerated.
it's often in an extreme. And what I've done in my own case and with clients that I work with is we look at what are the exact things that person is saying or doing that is bothering you. Okay. And
Yes.
so in one case, I had a woman at work who I had done the logo and I did slightly the wrong color. It was the American Cancer Society, right? Run on an ad that was going to do for a swap meet, and you're going like, are you kidding me? And she started yelling and screaming about this color.
Color.
And I thought, oh my God, I can't, this is ridiculous. So I went home, I actually got in the bathtub and I was laying there. What could possibly be, what am I seeing here? What
Yes,
is
yes.
the clue that she's showing me? And what she was showing me is perfectionism. And I have that.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
you see what I mean? And it's counterintuitive in a way. You don't think about that. What is she actually showing me? And so I did a integration on this being that's such a perfectionist. And you know what happened? And what happens every time you do an integration on someone you don't like or is bothering you or hurting you in some way, once you do that integration, they either change, like my mom changed, or they're out of your life. It's the most amazing thing because they can go off and bother other people. That's their right to do that, I guess you call. But you don't have to deal with it anymore because you don't have it inside you anymore.
I love that explanation. That explanation for me, for the first time in all the years that I've been here on the planet, that just resonated to the marrow of my bones because it's true. But you have to really sit and go inside and think and give it a lot of thought and see and be honest with yourself. What is it that annoys me? I love that. Time flies here, and I have all of the conversation here could go on and on with you and I. We know that. But I want to talk with you a little bit about what you gave me because it's my heartbeat, it's my soul beat. And that is intuition. We spoke to it briefly, is your universal GPS. Give us a little bit more ammunition, some gems about that, because I know for sure that that's a fact. So what can
Yes,
you
and
tell me?
this has been a big debate with myself for many years. Is
Really?
Yeah, because I was looking at um, the world and saying, okay, we have free will, that we've been told we have free will, right?
Yes.
And then
Uh-huh.
I realized that my free will was lousy.
You're
I was
honest.
I wasn't doing that good with free will. And whenever I would turn it over to God and say, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," right? Man, did things change? Okay, so what does that mean? My belief is now that we originally came here, humans came to this planet with the idea that we were going to be connected to the angels and the guides all the time. Okay. And that was how we're going to work with wild animals and cave situations and all the stuff that
Mm-hmm.
we have dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, according to the Bible, we left the garden. Okay. We left the
Yes.
garden and we left that intuitive connection behind. Now, this is something, intuition is not taught in school. Hardly anybody talks about it. It is just crazy. And that is our guidance system. And so once you say, okay, I'm going to be listening to my intuition, I'm going to follow it impeccably. Now, my partner, John, that I live with, is amazing with it. He's so much better than I am, but I'm getting better and better all the time. And you
Good, good,
can't say
good.
I'm not good because everything good that's happened in all these wonderful positions, traveling and teaching and all over the world,
Right.
all came through this, right? So the thing is, he won't go anywhere. He won't even go out the door without checking with his intuition. And
Woohoo.
yeah, and what does that mean for people who haven't experienced it? It's either a small voice, is a quiet voice, you listen for it, or it's sometimes a loud voice. Like when I got stabbed, the voice in my head before it happened said, "Run," and I argued. Don't argue. Don't argue. They say, pull your car off the road. Pull your car off the road right that minute because it's there to save you and protect you, and that intuition is there to take you to the heights of how far you can go. And so it's both.
Well, this is very powerful in so many ways, and this is another conversation which we must have because the higher source, the supreme being, the higher authority, power, whichever verbiage you choose to use, it is your intuition, whatever
Yes,
name you give it. And I
exactly.
love your expression, "we left the garden." And especially for us women, for all the different reasons, I'm not going into that today, but we are being called forth now to awake, to the power that is within us. And we really
Yes.
need to tune in to that intuitive GPS that is innate within us. So
Yes.
how do you allow people to really see and embrace that strength, that power, that's power filled within them? That's just
I
one of the nuggets.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing, or the way to work with, I work with clients, is look right now, without working with me, look at what has saved you in the past. Look at when
Uh-huh.
your intuition said that person can't be trusted. Look when you said, no, don't take that job or don't go down that road. It's there, but we
Yes.
don't listen enough. And sometimes we obey it. And I have to say the word obey, because I was such a brat that I would argue, because I have a strong mind and my mind wanted to be right. I'm
I'm
sure there's
laughing because
nobody out there that has that problem, right? But
yeah,
it's
no, I know.
no, we have to listen and we have to obey. And it can be a feeling in your gut. And what Robbie Motter said the other day made sense to me too, is that you take that feeling in your gut and you bring it up to your mind so you can find out what it's talking about. And then you can also be like a sense that you get a feeling like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. This just doesn't feel comfortable,
Yeah.
and if we did it continuously, I can tell you it makes a huge difference in your life. Huge.
I would tend to agree with you there, and you use a word there that it's just I'm just coming around to this obey type of thing. But you mentioned and you talked quite a bit, and you used it several times, and I love that you did because it's all about listening. But along with that listening, Verlaine, goes a deep, keen being able to observe and to see and feel and sense, which ties into your intuition, what's really there. Because once you do that, you're in sync. But it's a process, it's a journey. But we all need to do that more than ever before. The time flies here. I just love your explanation, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about this later. But I love that. I'm a wordsmith in my fashion. We left the garden. I love that. I never heard that before, and I love it for a lot of different reasons, which I'll talk to you more about. But we're at the end here now, so I want you to tell us as much as you can. Kirill has up here your complimentary 15-minute consultation, but tell us a little bit more about your book, The Power of Wholeness, and what it entails and how you came to it and what it's going to offer for the people who are interested in coming to you. And the stage is yours.
Right. I had written a book. My very first book was called Ending the Battle Within. And I was just going to redo it, and then the power of wholeness evolved out of it, because what I want to do is have more and more people understand how this works, how we have all these different parts of us. And oh God, I want to end the arguments and the pain and the confusion that's out there. And I just want to go back on one thing you said about really being aware and being
Yes.
observing. And
Yes.
that is in the book also, where I say, get out of this idea that you need to be looking at social media all the time. It is not a good idea.
Oh,
You have to be, when you're walking, you've got to be paying attention of where you are. That's your
oh my
safety.
goodness.
You know what I'm
Oh my
saying?
God. Thank you. Thank you for that, because that is so good. And ending the battle within, that's why this power of wholeness is so important, because you're not going to get that power of wholeness until you go within. And there is a battle within. We all began with it somewhat, different degrees, different levels. But I love that. It's beyond powerful what you're sharing with us. And you have to come back, because this conversation is ongoing and it never ends. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. We have up here the power of wholeness, your name. We're going to put the website and everything up there so people can connect. And I hope that they will. And I can only say thank you, thank you, thank you, and bless you.
Thank you.
She's going
Thank
to
you.
put you in the green room. Oh, thank you, thank you. My friends, the time, it flies here. I say this every week. I have to get a new ending, but I don't think that I will, because I love what I do here. I love meeting these fabulous women and sharing their journey and their stories with you, which is ongoing. It's never ending. And I'd love to invite you to come and share your story. Know that always I end with much, much love from my heart to your heart. You be and stay well. Take care of you first so that you can look after all the people who need your love and your wisdom and all the other things that it goes with it. Much love, my friends. Have a great evening. Cheers.